Mackenzie is my name. My age is 27, and from my apartment in Denver, I witnessed my sister Bailey's wedding last Saturday in real time as it crashed and burned. The wedding is available to view online. After our argument, my folks insisted, so I did, until my screen stopped on total anarchy, with my sister screaming, champagne glasses breaking, and my entire family disintegrating before my eyes. The crystal-clear live broadcast captured every detail. Before I reveal how my sister's idyllic day devolved into a viral catastrophe, tell me where you're watching from in a comment for more family drama stories that will make yours appear normal. Remember to subscribe. Bailey and I have always had a relationship that could be described as complex. She was 3 years older and infinitely more flawless as a child. She received straight A's on her report cards when I brought them home, with a B+. She was the homecoming queen and team captain when I joined the softball team. Her part of the room had tidy shelves filled with honor roll certificates and trophies, while the other half of our childhood bedroom was divided. Band posters and unfinished craft projects were my side pursuits. Why are you unable to emulate your sister more? Became the background music during my adolescence. Before family photos, my mom would correct my rebellious attire choices and say something dramatic. Bailey would already be standing there, looking picture perfect, grinning at me with that adult-friendly smile. However, I knew I had to go again. Don't get me wrong, we also enjoyed ourselves. Late-night conversations about boys. I learned how to apply eyeliner from Bailey without sticking my eye out. We stood together during our parents' difficult time, at the age of 14. However, such times always seemed fleeting, in a sea of rivalry that I could never conquer. There were islands of connection. I surprised everyone by declining a job close to home after college in order to relocate to Denver and work for a digital marketing agency. My parents pretended that I had declared my intention to join the circus. However, what about Sunday dinners with the family? Sincerely perplexed that anyone would choose a career over meatloaf, my mother had inquired and made passive-aggressive remarks about my life decisions. Meanwhile, Bailey followed the predicted course. After graduating from college, she returned home, began teaching at the same elementary school she had gone to, and began dating Ryan Sullivan, whose family owned half of our county's auto businesses. At a charity banquet, they reconnected after having known one another since high school. Ryan was from a wealthy family that constructed library wings and demanded women who were involved in the appropriate committees. Our family group chat was dominated by wedding planning when Bailey got engaged. There were new communications regarding venue negotiations, bridesmaid dress drama, and floral arrangements every day. I take part virtually, responding to the countless pictures with appropriate wows and lovely comments. The invitation came in a true calligraphy envelope, thick and cream in color. There was a note from Bailey. Handwritten, "I hope you can join me on my special day at home, but I have a bridesmaid position reserved for you. Naturally, Jessica is my maid of honor." It hurt more than it should have in the last part. I had been Bailey's sister for 27 years, while Jessica had only been her friend since college. But I called for acceptance, swallowing my pride. Everything broke apart at that point. A straightforward inquiry concerning the bridesmaid's attire swiftly became quite complex. My mother told me over the phone that the dresses aren't very forgiving. "Before you arrive for the fitting, you might want to try the diet I sent you." I answered, "Mom, I'm not dieting to fit into some dress for one day." Bailey wants everything to be flawless, and the photographer will cost a lot of money. One remark prompted another. Old scars came back. I said I felt like a letdown to the family. Mom brought up my lack of committed partnerships and erratic professional choices. Bailey intervened to protect Mom, claiming that I was bringing up my problems at her wedding once more. "Okay," I snapped at last. "I won't let my flaws mar your lovely pictures. I will not be attending." After I hung up, I sobbed for an hour. My dad called me later that evening with the compromise. With a voice worn out from decades of mediating disputes, he said, "You can watch the wedding online." For the relatives who are unable to travel, we are having it properly streamed. This may be a better option. I agreed that everyone should feel less strain, partly out of relief, part out of guilt. Don't wear something that makes you uncomfortable. No critical glances. No inquiries as to why I remained unmarried. I didn't have to endure familial abuse to stand by Bailey. My cousin Heather gave me further information in the weeks before the wedding. Bailey had changed from my sister, who was a little domineering, to a bridezilla, with ice sculptures, a 10-piece band, and personalized monogrammed items. The wedding had grown to 300 attendees. Every element was subject to the thoughts of Ryan's mother, Patricia, and Bailey was torn between planning her ideal wedding and appeasing her future mother-in-law. My dad sent me another message along with the live stream URL the night before the wedding. Bailey expresses her wish that you were present. It was something, but no apologies. I pondered whether I had made the correct decision as I went to bed, experiencing that well-known mix of bitterness and remorse. Despite being in a different time zone, I got up early on the morning of Bailey's wedding. Nerves? Despite the fact that no one would notice. I suppose I took additional care to look nice. Wearing sweatpants made the experience of viewing my sister's wedding from my couch much more depressing. I put on the dress in navy blue. As a guest, I would have worn. I meticulously put on makeup and even groomed my hair. I used my apartment as the location for my private reception. I set up my laptop on the coffee table with external speakers for greater acoustics, strung string lights across my living room, and put together a buffet that would make any caterer proud. A bottle of champagne I'd been putting away for a special occasion, a cheese dish, and chocolate-covered strawberries. I salute you, Bailey. I took a trial sip and whispered this to my empty flat. I hope you have a day as wonderful as you are. 30 minutes prior to the ceremony, the live feed was supposed to start. I clicked the link at the designated time, a champagne flute in hand. Anticipation churning in the gut. Nothing took place. I reload the page. Nothing has changed. After 10 minutes, it was 20. I was ready to send my cousin a text when the screen sprang to life. The event will be held in the country club garden, which was captured on video. An ornate floral arch was in front of rows of white seats with blush pink ribbons. Pedestals held mountains of white and pale pink flowers. As the afternoon sun shone on the crystal vases, prisms danced across the well-kept lawn. As visitors arrived, the camera operator zoomed in. I recognized our old great-uncle Franklin, who still pinches our cheeks like we're 5, my mother's college companions, and our neighbors who'd grown up with us. But everyone looked good, with their luxury clothes and country club tans. I saw my mom's side of the family grouped together, apart from Ryan's folks. As a stylist adjusted Bailey's veil, the camera pans to the wedding suite, where she was sitting in her robe at a vanity. I gasped. She was anxious, but she looked lovely. She thanked the makeup artist behind her bridesmaids, who were all wearing similar robes and fluttering about like anxious birds, with a tight grin. The maid of honor, Jessica, continued to check her phone anxiously. "Is everything all right?" sharply, Bailey asked her. Jessica jumped. Indeed. I was only checking the time. We're exactly on time. Before the camera shifted away, I noticed Jessica and another bridesmaid exchanging glances. As Ryan and his groomsmen were finishing their preparations, the stream sprang to the groom's room. Through the open door, Ryan's best man gave him a shoulder clap as he knocked back a shot of something amber. I caught a glimpse of an elderly woman, who I presumed to be Patricia Ryan's mother, engaged in a heated discussion with the wedding planner. Although their voices were unclear, Patricia was pointing at her watch and the planner was nodding quickly. I missed the following 15 minutes due to technical issues. The ceremony was ready to start, and guests were seated when the stream reappeared. My parents were in the front row, as seen by the camera. As usual, Mom looked flawless, not even slightly out of place. Dad sat next to her, wiping at her eyes in anticipation, looking uneasy. He tugged at his collar. Next to Ryan's father, who reminded me of a military commander with his stiff stance and stern eyes. The procession started as the music changed. Jessica walked down the aisle with a bouquet that most likely cost more than my rent each month, followed by bridesmaids and groomsmen. Everyone arose as the bridal march began to play. Bailey looked like she had walked out of a bridal brochure when she emerged on our father's arm. 2 flower girls were needed to handle the cathedral train of her lace and crystal beauty of a dress. She grinned. However, I knew my sister well enough to recognize that the smile wasn't genuine. As they started their trek, she kept looking at Ryan's family for approval. I sent Heather a text. "Is everything all right over there?" Bailey appeared anxious. Heather's response was prompt. "There is a lot of drama behind the scenes. I'll tell you later." Traditional readings, music, and the pastor's remarks regarding marriage were all part of the event. At the altar, I saw Ryan take Bailey's hands. The light catches her engagement ring. I briefly regretted not being present in person because of this. She was still my sister even though we didn't get along. Sometimes side chats were captured on camera, Jessica examining her phone beneath her bouquet, Patricia whispering to her husband, and my father's eyes straying to the exit as though planning a way out. I missed the vows due to technical difficulties, and the preacher was already announcing them as husband and wife by the time the stream steadied. They turned to face their guests as Mr. and Mrs. Sullivan, and Ryan gave Bailey a kiss that could have been too passionate for a formal wedding. They appeared flawless. I kept feeling that something wasn't quite right as I walked back down the aisle. The camera lingered on the faces of the guests, showing some sincere smiles and others with forced looks. The two families' separation was evident from the way they gathered on opposing sides and hardly acknowledged one another throughout the recession. I sent Heather another text. The vows were missed. Is there any drama I should be aware of? What did she say? Oh my God. At the last minute, Ryan's mother attempted to alter the ceremony. Bailey is struggling to keep his composure. There are also rumors circulating regarding Ryan. Give you a call later, while the attendees made their way to the reception. I refilled my champagne and got ready for this virtual wedding's next stage. A feeling of impending doom, intensifying every moment. Inadvertently, the live broadcast captured scenes as it accompanied the wedding party to a lovely bridge for pictures. Of course, the official wedding album would leave it out. Families were placed on either side of Bailey and Ryan, who were positioned in the middle by the photographer. The group's unseen boundary caught my attention right away. The newlyweds are trapped in the middle, with Sullivans and our family on one side. Please, get closer. The photographer gave a call. As if you genuinely like one another. Everyone scooted inches closer. An awkward laughter ensued. Jessica, Bailey's maid of honor, was seen on camera standing a little apart and continuing to check her phone compulsively. She gave a strong shake of her head and stepped back when Ryan's best man whispered something to her. Private talks were not supposed to be captured by the camera microphone. However, secrets can be revealed by technology. Patricia's speech could be heard clearly while the photographer moved the subjects. The orchids were a waste. In my opinion, no one notices the difference. They will also pass away before the reception is over. My mother's response could be heard just as clearly. It's Bailey's wedding day, and she wanted orchids. It's also our son's birthday, and those flowers were paid for by us. Bailey's gaze flickered between the mothers, but her smile stayed the same. Ryan didn't appear to notice. He focused on adjusting his cufflinks. There were technical difficulties once more. Live streaming's risk. Additionally, I failed to notice the change to the reception area. Guests were settling into seats in a ballroom that had been turned into a floral paradise when the video resumed. Above tables with ornate centerpieces, crystal chandeliers dangled. The tall 8-tier cake, adorned with sugar flowers that matched Bailey's bouquet, was lighted by a spotlight. It didn't take me long to grasp that the seating arrangement was political. On the left, my family was crowded around tables. The right was controlled by the Sullivans, with a few unlucky mutual friends acting as a buffer. Ryan's father was sat at the head table next to my dad, Both males appear as though they would prefer to be somewhere else. I texted Heather once more. "Why is the seating arrangement so Cold War during the salad course?" She responded, "It was a nightmare to plan." Bailey's decisions were constantly altered by Ryan's mother. Ryan arrived at the rehearsal dinner 2 hours late as well. Intoxicated. A big battle following. I had never heard of this before. During our brief, courteous text conversations in the days leading up to the wedding, Bailey had not brought up any of this, but it clarified the tension that was evident even on my laptop screen. For his toast, the best man stood up, rapping a knife against his glass. He was swaying a little as he held the microphone, obviously already drunk. Ryan started in college, so I've known him since then. He stopped to laugh back when he was making his way through the sorority houses. That never arrived. Mrs. Sullivan, I'm joking, sort of, from 1,000 miles away. Patricia's face might have frozen the champagne in my glass. Ignorant of the discomfort in the room, the best man went on. But really, for the most part, Ryan is now settled down. He gave a wink. "You're getting a wonderful man. Just don't let him go to open bars or Vegas. Am I correct?" Reaching for his glass. Ryan mustered a laugh. Bailey's smile had hardened to the point of pain. The ensuing toast from Jessica was proper, but stiff, as if she were picking every syllable carefully. I found it remarkable that she hardly gave Ryan any attention at all. As supper went on, the camera moved across the room at intervals, catching glimpses of the increasingly bizarre celebration while addressing nearly everything to Bailey alone. Ryan took a steady sip. His motions are getting less synchronized. During the main course, he rolled his eyes in response to something Bailey muttered to him before turning to talk with the groom's men. I overheard a heated argument next to the cake table. Although the camera was not focused there, I could make out Patricia surrounding Bailey and making a forceful gesture in the distance. Jessica hurried after my sister as she excused herself and went to the bathrooms, her expression shifting from barely disguised fury to false friendliness. I sent Heather another text. "Buy the cake. What is Ryan's mother saying to Bailey?" Heather responded right away. "The reception schedule, perhaps. Prior to cake, Bailey requested parent dances. First, Patricia asks Ryan's godfather for some toast. A dumb power maneuver." I saw my sister take off her makeup, looking fresh, but her eyes showed signs of tension. Ryan was so absorbed in talking to his college pals that he hardly noticed. He wrapped his best man in his arm. After the couple's first dance, the DJ declared that dinner was coming to an end and dancing will start. Bailey was walking toward Ryan. A server I didn't recognize handed Jessica an envelope at the door, and the camera captured her intercepting the person. As Jessica read whatever was inside, her face turned pale. Without hesitation, she drew the wedding planner away, and they both looked at Ryan in clear horror. The planner pointed to Patricia and shook her head. Heather texted me, and my phone chimed. "Something strange is taking place. Someone left a note for Jessica. She's going crazy now." The DJ called for attention before I could answer. "Please welcome Mr. and Mrs. Sullivan to the dance floor for their first dance. Ladies and gentlemen." Ryan and Bailey shifted to the middle of the dance floor. Ed Sheeran's song "Perfect" opened the music. They started to wobble. Bailey's eyes seemed to be pleading as she looked up at Ryan, even though he was grinning. His gaze kept going to the doorway. Now that the first dance was over, the DJ went on. "For the newlyweds, Mrs. Patricia Sullivan has planned a unique surprise." Bailey stopped. She obviously didn't have time for this. Ryan's face changed from one of bewilderment to one that suspiciously resembled panic. As Patricia accepted the microphone, the camera captured her beaming triumphantly. The journey of Ryan and Bailey's marriage is full of unexpected turns. Speaking of surprises, someone special wants to join you in celebrating today? There was bare fear on my sister's face. Right now, the wedding coordinator grabbed Jessica by the arm to stop her from getting out of her seat. My parents looked at each other in confusion. The DJ's announcement of Patricia's special surprise lingered in the air like a thundercloud, and the live feed, with its flawless high-definition clarity, was about to show me why I should have believed my gut about this wedding from the start. Bailey's gaze shifted from the front doors to her new mother-in-law. Ryan's champagne glass was stopped halfway to his lips, and he was motionless. Patricia went on, her eyes as keen as flints, yet her speech honey-sweet. Relief flashed across Bailey's face as she explained that we had a unique video presentation ready for our lovely pair, showcasing Ryan's search for his ideal mate. Only a video, not what she had been afraid of. A screen dropped from the ceiling and the lights faded. The music started. As pictures of Ryan from his early years to college showed, the caption said, "Bruno Mars marry you." My phone was constantly buzzing with Heather's texts. Bailey was unaware of this footage. Ryan appears to be on the verge of being ill. Attempting to reach the AV booth is Jessica. The naive montage went on until Ryan's college years, at which point a stunning blonde abruptly showed up in the pictures. First in group images, then more and more in pictures of couples cuddling on a beach, kissing at what appeared to be a fraternity formal, and Ryan's arms around each other at parties. I could see Bailey's bewilderment even on my screen. She wasn't in these pictures. As the slideshow continued to show Ryan with this unidentified woman at what were obviously recent events, the music switched to the one that got away, a Christmas party that was recorded in December of last year, 3 months prior to the wedding, a February ski trip. Murmurs broke out throughout the ballroom. My dad got up halfway from his chair. Jessica was ultimately seen on tape separating from the wedding coordinator and sprinting in the direction of the AV booth. It's too late. The last slide came up. "Congratulations, Ryan," the blonde woman holding a homemade sign said. "When you're prepared for the real deal, give me a call. Love, always. Diana." The screen turned dark. The commotion was illuminated by the lights. Bailey remained still in the middle of the dance floor. She had a shocked expression on her face. Ryan had the expression of a man who was witnessing the collapse of his life in real time. "Diana is who?" Despite being quiet, Bailey's voice cut through the hush that had descended upon the reception with ease. Ryan took a deep breath. "A college axe. It isn't anything." Patricia moved forward. "Diana Winters from the Greenwich Winters family. The shipping company is owned by them. Prior to this hurried arrangement, she and Ryan were almost engaged after 3 years of dating. Hasty planning." My mother stood up and repeated, "For a year. They have been engaged. A year. Is that enough time to decide whether someone is a good fit for our family?" Patricia answered, "Diana is from a good family. She is aware of Ryan's obligations to the Sullivan family." At last, Ryan was able to speak. "What have you done, Mom?" "We talked about this. I'm keeping you safe." Patricia let out a hiss loud enough to be picked up by the microphone. "This is a bad marriage. Even the prenuptial agreement isn't properly finalized." Bailey jerked his head up. A prenuptial agreement. The ensuing hush was deafening. Heather sent me so many SMS that my phone exploded. Bailey was unaware of prenuptial agreements. Yesterday, Ryan's family attorney delivered documents. Bailey insisted on reading before signing. After the wedding, Ryan vowed to rip them up. As understanding dawned, I saw my sister's expression change. "You wouldn't destroy those documents, would you? The purpose of the entire wedding was to please your parents while you were still free to choose." Ryan grabbed her arm. "Sweetheart, it's not easy. My family's company, the structure of inheritance, Diana and Dash." Bailey also became complicated, and her voice cracked. "That's it." Ryan's gaze strayed to the doors, but he persisted. Jessica spoke urgently in Bailey's ear as she finally made it to her side. Bailey's eyes got even bigger. "She is present." Bailey returned the whisper. Recording every word with the microphone on the nearby table, Diana appears as though her name has called her. The reception hall doors opened. The blonde in the picture stood there wearing a crimson outfit that most likely went against every wedding guest dress regulation ever. The Sullivan family attorney behind her held a portfolio of what I guessed were the disputed prenuptial agreements. I longed so much to get through my screen and be by my sister's side. Rather, I stood by helplessly as Bailey's idyllic day fell apart. Abruptly, Ryan's brother jumped up and gestured to Bailey's hand. She is unable to take her grandmother's ring with her. A Sullivan heirloom. That is, Dash is not the intended recipient. For what purpose? My dad cut it short. Anger made his face flush. Not for my daughter. Your brother recently married this woman. Ryan's dad also got involved. That ring is more valuable than your daughter's 10 years of teaching pay. It remains inside our family. I am now your family, Bailey screamed, her voice growing stronger as amazement gave way to rage. Did people forget that we had just exchanged vows? Patricia sneered. When a marriage is genuine, vows have meaning. This was obviously an error. They forced Ryan into it. Under pressure, my mom cried out. For months, your son chased after Bailey. At our family's Christmas meal, he asked me to marry him. Diana moved farther into the space, a look of elation mixed with fake worry on her face. It's not necessary for you to do this, Ryan. Honey, your folks are aware of your error. If you choose to get off the jet, the judge is prepared. They had a strategy to get out. Are you ready? Ryan seems to be torn between two worlds. He looked back and forth between Diana, his parents, and Bailey. He grabbed his glass of champagne and downed it all at once. He murmured, I need some air, and turned away from his bride to face Diana. Jessica gave the envelope she had previously received to Bailey. Bailey opened it and read it fast, the color fading from her face. Receipts for hotel rooms. Bailey's voice lifted. During our engagement, you have been getting to know her. You spent the weekends traveling for work. Ryan turned around. Who handed those to you? It's confidential. Private, similar to our union. Bailey shot back. Private. Like the prenuptial agreement I sent you. The father of Ryan came forward. The Sullivan family's riches is safeguarded by that prenuptial agreement. Did you really believe that we would allow a kindergarten teacher from the opposite side of town to get it? My dad jumped up and down. That's sufficient. Bailey, we're heading out. The entire family is poisonous. The live broadcast could hardly keep up with what happened next since it happened so fast. My lovely, prim, ideal sister, Bailey, who had never raised a fuss in her life, screamed in sheer anger. She hurled the enormous diamond ring straight at Ryan's face after yanking it off her finger. He dodged the ring, which sailed over his head and splashed into a champagne fountain. When Ryan's brother went for it, he struck a waiter who was carrying a tray of glasses, shattering the crystal all over the dance floor. Bailey's arm was taken by Ryan's father. Where are you heading? In your opinion, we spent a fortune on this wedding. He was pushed away from Bailey by my father. Keep your hands off my daughter. The two fathers, who should have known better but were in their 60s, started fighting like kids. Ryan's mom let out a shriek. The sight was frightening, even though my mother did not intend to wield the wedding cake knife as a weapon. Standing in the middle of it all, Bailey looked like an angel in the middle of hell as her bridal gown caught the light. Her expression was one of dawning awareness. Despite the tears streaming down her face, the wedding coordinator was working feverishly to guide our guests. Both the camera operator and the DJ had left his station. As accusations flew and glassware broke, they continued to film. May God reward their professional dedication. Bailey gave me a look that indicated, you were right to stay away. As she stared straight into the camera, the video suddenly froze at the height of the commotion, with my sister's tear-streaked face in the center of the picture. Bailey's distressed face and the picture of devastation stayed on my screen. In the background, My folks are attempting to contact her, with broken glass glistening on the floor like the broken promises strewn all over my sister. Ryan was staring at Diana, furiously. I clicked refresh. Nothing. My browser remained frozen even after restarting. I completely restarted my PC, that awful scene, which serves as the ideal metaphor for a marriage that had previously failed, is still shown in the live feed. It really got started. My screen was stuck on the wedding disaster image for 30 painful seconds. I was immediately thrust back into the commotion that had only become worse during the technical outage as the live stream abruptly came back to life. Ryan's former girlfriend, Diana, had thoroughly embraced the reception hall and was now standing there with the assurance of someone who felt she belonged there. As she walked toward Ryan, who was frozen between his past and present, her red dress glinted in the sunlight. Through the microphone that had been left on a neighboring table, Diana's voice could be heard clearly. Ryan. Last week, your mom gave me a call. You're making a terrible mistake, she remarked. Bailey jerked his head in Patricia's direction. You gave her a call. She was welcomed here, unrepentant. Patricia Sullivan straightened her expensive jacket. For many years, Diana has been a part of our life. She recognizes the status of society and our family. Bailey said it again. Do you really care about that? Not if your son is content. Happiness is short-lived, Patricia said icily. Legacy endures forever. We need the correct alliances to preserve what the Sullivans have created, which will endure for decades. Ryan's dad gave a nod. Just the merging with Winter's shipping would result in a 30% increase in our shares. It's easy. Company incredulous. My mother's voice increased. It's not a corporate takeover. This is your son's wedding. Diana took a step toward Ryan and touched his arm with a manicure. You know we were destined to be together. Ryan, honey, this was only your period of revolt. You still have your trust fund. You have a secure job at the corporation. As we had planned for your birthday. We can visit Bora Bora tonight. Bailey's expression fell flat. Your excursion for your birthday. The one you canceled due to an urgent business matter. Did you intend to accompany her? When Ryan did speak, his words were garbled by the champagne. It is not what it appears to be. I'm only friends with Diana now. Diana chuckled. The tension in the room was somehow broken by a tinkling sound. Twice a month, friends who cut the sweet at the plaza come to visit. Sweetheart, I still have the keycards you gave me. That's when Bailey snapped. With rage, not with tears or collapse, my sister was a perfectionist, which I had never witnessed. You are a total phony. Her voice was so raw that it disrupted the live stream audio as she yelled, I did everything for you. Your mother told me that blondes look better in family portraits, so I altered my hair. I left my position as a teacher. I adore my job at the core of your family. I allowed you to persuade me that my friends weren't cultured enough to attend our wedding. Ryan stepped back, clearly startled by this new Bailey he had never seen. Bailey. He growled, You're creating a scene. A scene. Bailey let out a nearly hysterical chuckle. Do you wish to witness a scene? She picked up the bottle of champagne from the closest table and tipped it over his head. As onlookers gasped, the handmade tuxedo was saturated in expensive champagne. Ryan wiped his eyes and sputtered, Are you insane? The expense of this action was $5,000. Bailey snapped, Tell me. Ask Diana to cover it instead. With all the presents you've been giving her from our joint account, she can afford it. Jessica took a step forward and put her hand on Bailey's shoulder to stabilize him. Bailey, I tried to inform you. You know when I looked at the charges on the credit card account that you wanted me to assist with. Bailey looked at her honorary maid. Only for a week, Jessica said. After discovering the hotel expenses, I engaged a private investigator. An hour prior to the ceremony, the proof arrived. I was attempting to determine how to inform you. Ryan's mom strode over to them. You have no right to employ someone to spy on my son. The issue with you guys is that no privacy awareness, No class. Confidentiality. Jessica chuckled. Your son had been unfaithful to his fiancée. He is not worthy of privacy. Bailey's bouquet was on the head table and Patricia grabbed for it. This is the end of the farce. Ryan, we're heading out. The annulment documents are prepared by the attorney. At last, my father arrived at Bailey's side, putting your arm around her for protection. Don't touch my daughter's belongings. Ryan's dad stepped in. Anger made his face flush. Or his fifth scotch. Perhaps. Howard, take charge of your family. The whole thing is beneath us. Beneath you, my dad answered, raising his voice. My daughter was cheated on by your son. We're beneath you, and your wife planned this ambush. What happened next that happened so fast it was just about caught by the camera? Ryan's dad waved his hand dismissively. I may or may not have shoved my dad backward. Despite his aversion to physical altercations, my father automatically retaliated, pushing back hard enough to knock Ryan's father into the wedding cake table. In slow motion, the magnificent 8-tier cake swayed once, twice, and then fell apart. A tumbling avalanche of raspberry filling and white fondant. In the sudden quiet, it slammed to the floor, briefly hustling the room. Diana's chuckle had a strong resonance, which is undoubtedly meaningful. Bailey's eyes blazed as he turned toward her. Do you find this amusing? You contributed to ruining someone's wife's wedding day. A cheating man, a family that prioritizes money over others. Congrats on your award. Diana paused her smile. I have a past with Ryan. Together, we belong. His final act of disobedience before getting married was this marriage. In the right way, with his mother's choice. Bailey's voice had become dangerously quiet. Patricia moved to the side. That is more than enough of you. Ryan, the automobile is waiting. Diana, maybe we should get together at the house. Between the women, Ryan, still dripping champagne, gazed uncertainly. I believe that everyone needs to relax and have a private conversation about this. Talk about what Bailey inquired. Your life. I gave you a prenuptial agreement, the seeming sham of the entire wedding while you awaited the availability of your mother's true option. She looked around at the gathered visitors, many of whom were using their phones to record the scene. I want to express my gratitude to everyone who came to see what I believe to be the most joyous day of my life. Rather, you get to witness its breathtaking devastation up close. While I go file for the fastest divorce in the world, the open bar will stay open. Patricia still held onto her bouquet as Bailey reached for it. After a brief fight, Bailey pulled it free and threw it straight at Ryan's face. This missile, in contrast to the ring, struck its objective. On impact, white roses and baby breath burst forth. The chamber exploded once more. Ryan's brother yelled about family humiliation as he lunged for Bailey. With a deft elbow, Jessica stopped him, sending him tumbling into a table of champagne flutes that fell to the ground in a clatter of splintered glass. Taking Bailey's hand, my mother dragged her to the door. In the collision that ensued, Diana's red dress caught on a chair and tore dramatically up the side as she rushed to block their way. As if physically hurt, she screamed, demonstrating the camera operator's extraordinary dedication to capturing every second of this catastrophe. Bailey's face was zoomed in on as she turned to confront the devastation. Tears were streaming down her cheeks, but there was something more than pain on her face, a growing awareness that she had barely avoided a life of deceit and manipulation. That's when it occurred. The live broadcast froze once more, this time permanently, during the height of the turmoil, with Bailey in the foreground and the wedding devastation behind her. I gazed at my computer screen. Bailey's tear-streaked face was perfectly in focus as the scene of calamity blazed into my retinas. The shoulder of her bridal gown was slightly ripped. Her face was a blend of fierce dignity and heartbreak. Cake splattered like a crime scene as glass smashed across the dance floor behind her. Ryan is torn between his lover and his mother. My parents are attempting to protect Bailey from additional danger. I kept clicking refresh. Nothing. I tried a variety of browsers, reset my Wi-Fi, and even tried using my phone to watch the broadcast. The picture didn't move. It's the ideal metaphor for today. In a flash, the meticulous facade broke down to expose the harsh truth underneath, destroying beauty. I was relieved and helpless at the same time. My sister is devastated. However, I'm glad I wasn't there in person for that nightmare. I realized as I gazed at Bailey's frozen image that I was seeing the very moment my sister's ideal existence fell apart. And oddly, it may have been the most honest moment our family had gone through in a long time. I contacted every member of my family for 3 excruciating hours after the live stream froze, but I kept getting no answer. Heather didn't read the texts I sent her. My parents' phone calls ended up in voicemail. The venue didn't even pick up their phones. Still wearing my blue dress, I paced my apartment, feeling as though my guilt and anxiety were driving me insane. Was I there? Could I have avoided this catastrophe or at the very least helped Bailey get through it? Every time I closed my eyes, the image of my sister's tear-streaked face remained frozen in my mind. My phone rang with a notification at midnight. Anticipating a text from relatives, I sprang for it. It was a Twitter alert instead. In my hometown, the Sullivan wedding disaster was a local fad. When I opened the app and saw that video clips from visitors' phones were making the rounds online, my stomach fell. The majority were short, 15-second clips of Bailey dousing Ryan in champagne and my father pushing Ryan's father into the cake. Diana's grand arrival. Every piece contributed to the degrading public record of my sister's darkest moment. The remarks were harsh. People are using the suffering of my family as amusement. I instantly removed the app, feeling ill. It was no longer a personal family tragedy. It was now a spectacle for the people. Finally, Heather called at 1:43 a.m. Before I could say anything, she said, "Oh my God, Mackenzie." After the stream stopped out, everything got even worse. "Is Bailey doing well?" I insisted. "Where is she?" "She's at your parents' place with them." Lawyers then confiscated everyone's phones. After the police arrived, that is, police, I almost let out a yell. Bailey was violently restrained from leaving by Ryan's brother. After your dad stepped in, things got out of hand. Both sides have threatened to bring charges, but there have been no arrests. The Sullivans are extremely adept at controlling harm. Feeling overwhelmed, I collapsed into my couch. "Heather, I have to know everything. Commence at the beginning." Heather filled in the blanks in my knowledge over the course of the following hour. I was unaware that the tensions had started months earlier. Ryan's family had been in charge of all the wedding preparations, superseding Bailey's decisions with Patricia's. Bailey had never met any of the Sullivan business associates on the guest list. According to Heather, Bailey endured weeks of misery, but she insisted that it would all be worthwhile if they were married and the stress was removed. The Sullivan family lawyer then showed up with prenuptial papers 3 days prior to the wedding, which effectively left Bailey with nothing in the event of a divorce. Regardless of blame, she had been caught off guard. Ryan assured me that his parents insisted on it as a formality. Heather went on. After the ceremony, he vowed to rip it up, despite her suspicions. Bailey didn't want to embarrass herself by abruptly canceling everything. Bailey was unaware that Diana had been in communication with Ryan's family during the engagement. Patricia had always hoped the relationship would return, and the Winters family's shipping company offered a good chance for a merger. Heather disclosed that Diana was expected to cause a stir at the church during the now or forever hold your peace speech. Diana backed off until the reception, even though Patricia had planned it. Regarding Ryan himself, there was no denying the proof of his treachery. Throughout the engagement, hotel expenditures were visible on credit card accounts. Communication with Diana was continuous, according to phone records. Even the trip to Bora Bora, which he had promised to take Bailey to for their honeymoon, had been bought by him last week. While assisting Bailey with the wedding funds, Jessica learned everything. She hired a PI, according to Heather, who just prior to the ceremony supplied the last piece of evidence. Patricia took over everything with the slide display as she was trying to think of a way to notify Bailey. The Sullivan family's actual intentions were the most startling discovery. The prenuptial agreement included provisions pertaining to Bailey's expected behavior as a Sullivan bride, including hosting a set amount of charity functions, upholding particular social ties, and even meeting weight and appearance requirements. According to Heather, it was essentially a work description rather than a marital contract. And if Ryan had pressed more, Bailey would have signed it. She cherished him. At approximately 3:30 in the morning, my mother texted me. At last, Bailey fell asleep. Ryan's family is contemplating legal action due to his tarnished reputation. Tomorrow, we'll give you a call. Never trust anything you see online. I dreamed of broken glass and ripped bridal gowns while I slept fitfully. My father finally called Dad at 8 a.m. I suffocated. I'm so sorry for missing it. You mean it. Mackenzie. He let out a sigh. You were the astute one. The rest of us didn't notice what you saw in Ryan. That wasn't totally accurate. I hadn't been particularly suspicious of Ryan. All I'd been doing was avoiding family conflict. But there's no need to explain now. How is Bailey doing? I inquired. Heartbroken, embarrassed, but somewhat relieved. Between us, he lowered his voice. Although she was unable to acknowledge it, I believe she has been miserable for months. She was transformed by the Sullivans, Mac. In order to work at their foundation, she quit teaching, altered her look to conform to their perception. She looked so intent on making things work that neither your mother nor I spoke. Guilt tightened in my chest. Although I hadn't pushed hard enough, I had observed those differences in our video calls. When Bailey waved away my worries, Bailey herself called later that morning. Though hoarse from crying, her voice was more steady than I had anticipated. She said right away, "You were correct not to come. There was no wedding there. It was a ceremony that was actually a corporate merger. I couldn't see it since I was blind." I muttered. "I'm so sorry, Bailey. I ought to have supported you." And what was done on Ryan's other side? Champagne was thrown. She tried to laugh, but it became a sob. In fact, having someone there who hadn't been duped by the Sullivans from the start could have been pleasant. Our conversation lasted almost 2 hours. Bailey said that she had been suspecting issues for months, but she had made so many emotional, social, and professional investments that it seemed difficult to acknowledge failure. She moved into Ryan's family condo, quit her teaching career to work at the Sullivan Foundation, and even dyed her hair blonde after Patricia said that it looked better on society pages. She added, "I kept thinking that I'd get the real Ryan back once we were married. The man who used to grade papers with me on Sundays and bring me wildflowers." However, as soon as his family became involved, that man vanished. Near the end of our call, the most agonizing admission was made. Bailey admitted that Diana wasn't even unexpected, which is the hardest part. Ryan persuaded me that the messages I discovered months ago were innocent, said that she kept contacting them because she couldn't accept their separation, because the alternative was too terrible. I decided to believe him. I sat in stunned quiet, taking it all in, until she finally hung up to rest. My ideal, self-assured older sister had been methodically coerced into taking treatment, sacrificing her morals, and beginning to doubt herself. It was once unimaginable to her. My mother called that night with news that infuriated me. She added, her voice tense with rage, "The Sullivans' lawyer called. They are requesting that Bailey return all of the wedding presents, arguing that she has no right to them because she provoked the disturbance. Additionally, they want her to sign an NDA regarding the entire incident." "That's ridiculous," I cried out. "This whole catastrophe was planned by them, I understand, but if she doesn't comply, they're threatening to sue her for slander. Due to copyright allegations, those social media videos have already been removed." Ryan himself delivered the last insult when he texted Bailey to say he had been pressured by both sides and trapped in the midst. He recommended that they get together and carefully go about their options. Bailey's answer was simply no. On the day following my sister's supposed first wedding anniversary, night fell. I decided. The next morning, I made reservations for a flight home. There was no way to observe from a distance this time. For once, I wasn't going to let my sister down when she needed me. I had 5 hours on the aircraft from Denver to Cincinnati to practice my response to Bailey. Do I have to say I'm sorry for missing the wedding recognize? I had watched a high-definition live broadcast of her humiliation. Admit that when her flawless life fell apart and the messiness of mine was exposed, I experienced a horrible moment of vindication. None of my prepared speeches were important in the end. I didn't need to say anything when Bailey met me at the airport, wearing sweatpants and her hair pulled back in a ponytail, a style I hadn't seen on her since high school. I let go of my carry-on and embraced my sister, feeling her body tremble as she sobbed against me. I muttered into her hair, "I got you." Now I'm here. The house where my parents lived had been converted into a crisis headquarters. The table in the dining room vanished behind piles of court filings, the Sullivan family's cease and desist letters, unsigned prenuptial agreements, and wedding contracts with outstanding sums. Attorney. While my father conferred with a legal acquaintance over Bailey's options, my mother took calls from worried family members. My folks had gone to bed when I arrived home that first night. Like we did as teenagers, Bailey and I sat on the swing on the back porch. It was a cold night, in the dark. Lightning bugs blink. At last, disturbing our cozy silence, Bailey murmured, "I should have listened to you." What is it about I moved away and requested everything? Establishing limits with parents. Not making a constant effort to be flawless. Her knees were drawn up to her chest. You were always able to see through Sullivan's facade. You inquired about Ryan's unexpected professional success, about why my buddies and I no longer spend time together. I gave a headshake. Bailey, I wasn't some wise guru. I was merely envious. You had everything worked out half the time, and I was the family idiot who made snap decisions. The sound of Bailey's real laughter stunned us both. I discovered that Mackenzie was engaged to a cheating mama's boy who wanted me to sign a prenuptial agreement and give up my autonomy. Right now, my life is in complete chaos. You're right, I admitted. After a period of extreme stress, we both started laughing, which is a slightly hysterical release. Bailey turned to me with unexpected seriousness when we had cooled down. We appreciate your online viewing. Knowing that you saw everything, or that at least one person in my life saw the truth, is as embarrassing as it can be. Everybody else is attempting to change the past. What are you saying? At the reception, I asked Ryan's family if they were informing anyone that I had a mental health episode. Diana, who came to help Ryan, was an innocent friend. That I was angry and envious when I attacked her. Bailey's tone became stern. They are portraying me as the erratic educator who is incapable of managing their world. I felt protected because of the injustice. We have the recording of the live stream. Before it went down, I saved it. Bailey's gaze expanded. Did you? I have laptops in my bag. Diana's entrance is readily seen, albeit not everything is. The presentation, Patricia's acknowledgement. She extended an invitation to her. Everything is there. I noticed a spark in my sister's eyes that had the potential to change things for the first time since I had come. We called a family meeting for the next morning. I hooked my laptop up to their TV and showed them the important parts of the live feed while my mom prepared coffee. I explained, I'm not saying we're going to make this public, but having it means the Sullivans can't totally change what happened. My dad gave a slow nod. Bailey continued, leverage for the legal negotiations and for my own peace of mind. Evidence. I had no idea how planned this whole thing was. We had a meeting with a lawyer who specialized in high-profile divorces that afternoon. She scanned the video and papers, then looked up with a resolute smile. Sullivan, Mrs., or do you once more favor Miss Miller? She questioned Bailey. Miller, of course, Bailey said firmly. Mrs.? Miller. This humiliation was obviously planned by the Sullivans. We have a lot of leverage thanks to the live stream proof and the financial records that demonstrate Ryan's continued involvement with Miss Winters. In addition to releasing you from their demands, I think we can possibly negotiate a settlement for your mental pain and professional setback. A flurry of legal consultations, evidence collection, and emotional processing characterized the following week. After years of growing apart, Bailey and I reverted to the sisterly shorthand we had abandoned. I spent every night working remotely from our parents' place, staying as long as possible. Bailey and I spent the night rebuilding our friendship, one discussion at a time. One night, Bailey said, "I was always so jealous of your freedom. Even when Mom and Dad didn't like me, you appeared so at ease being who you were." "Are you jealous?" I chuckled. Bailey whispered, "The golden child who has never let anyone down before." I took hold of her hand. "Hey, it's not disappointing to stand up for yourself. It's the most courageous thing you have ever done." We had another challenge 2 weeks following the disastrous wedding. A meeting had been sought by the Sullivan family. Bailey remained adamant despite his lawyer's advice to the contrary. She urged that I must meet their eyes. Not as Ryan's humiliated wife. The location of the meeting was Bailey's attorney's office. Wearing faces of trained concern, Ryan arrived accompanied by his parents and their lawyer. "Bailey, sweetheart," Patricia said, "we are extremely concerned about you. This emotional response continues." Bailey spoke quietly yet firmly. "Gaslighting me is not why I'm here. The prenuptial agreement, hotel receipts, and Diana's text messages to Ryan are all captured in the live broadcast, which she kindly forwarded to me afterwards." The attorney for Sullivan came forward. "If you agree to sign an NDA about the regrettable events at the reception, we're willing to make a sizable settlement offer." Bailey grinned. "I have an alternative suggestion. I'm not interested in your money. I would like to publicly apologize to my family for the embarrassment. You coordinated my employment at the elementary school, provided a letter of recommendation, and arranged for all wedding presents to be given to the domestic violence shelter where I volunteer. I'll sign a mutual non-disparaging agreement in exchange." After hours of negotiations, the Sullivans decided that their reputation was more important than retaliation. The majority of Bailey's terms were approved. Want to move forward from the scandal. Bailey was taller than I had seen her since before the wedding as we walked out of the meeting. 6 months later, she said, "I believe that's what closure feels like." Our lives had changed for us both. Bailey had relocated to Denver and accepted a teaching job at a forward-thinking primary school close to my apartment. Once holding on to our hometown, the sister now eagerly welcomed the experience of a new city. We started having Sunday dinners together, sometimes cooking together, and other times going out to eat at different restaurants in Denver. Bailey stated, "I'm raising my wine glass in a toast to disasters that end up being rescue missions. Two sisters who reunite among the ruins." I clinked my glass to hers. Bailey grinned. "I never really thanked you, you know. For what purpose observing your humiliation online and missing your wedding? Being my witness made me wince." She gave a serious response. Everybody there was engrossed in the action, supporting one side or another. You had perspective and could see everything well from a distance. It wasn't abandonment that I couldn't have your remoteness. I was in dire need of clarity. Our mother made a feeble call. As she saw the harm her perfectionism had caused, her connection with both daughters changed. Our father had emerged as Bailey's unanticipated defender, confronting family members who questioned her choices. Bailey turned down a date with a really nice accountant last week she was introduced to by my coworker. "I'm not prepared," she said, without attempting to be someone's ideal wife or daughter. "I'm still discovering who Bailey is." I nodded, fully comprehending. "Don't hurry. It takes some of us decades to discover it." "Speaking of which, I signed up for the photography course," Bailey said. "I've always wanted to give it a shot. In comparison to educational credentials, the mother claimed that the one was a waste of time. My sister's hair has returned to its natural brown. Her smile is sincere, and her eyes are free of the never-ending need to please. That day, Bailey, I came to the realization that we had both been saved from a marriage that would have gradually removed us from the never-ending cycle of family disappointment. From a distance, sometimes the best view is available. Sometimes the opening frame of a far greater story is a frozen picture of turmoil. And sometimes the true beauty that lies beneath a flawless exterior must be witnessed firsthand. Have you ever witnessed the breakdown of someone's ideal existence, only to discover that it was the finest thing that could have happened to them? Tell me about a moment in your own life when adversity became opportunity in the comment section below. If you would like more stories about family problems, rebuilding after disasters, and finding oneself in unexpected locations, don't forget to like and subscribe. Additionally, keep in mind that often the most clear views come from those observing from a distance. I appreciate your participation as my witnesses today, and I hope to see you in the upcoming video.